Hey guys, welcome back. Let's talk about AI commercials, which is all the rage right now. And by the way, I fixed my audio. Sorry I was a little bit quiet for the last few videos, but you know, who's watching anyway? But here we are. My audio is better. Hopefully more people are going to stick around to listen to what nonsense I'm going to say about AI. But anyway, AI commercials are the thing right now, mainly because of two commercials that have come out recently. There's this Coca-Cola commercial, which I'd love to watch with you. And then let's jump into the Vodafone commercial, which dropped about 24 hours ago. And then look at other stuff. But I think it's kind of telling that we're in this moment where AI commercials are a novelty. We've got a lot of people with their hot takes about, oh, like it's banal and it's boring. And this is why we need humans to make commercials and art and blah, blah, blah. Like, I think those hot takes from people who are probably coming into this with a bit of a confirmation bias or an ideological bias about AI, they're coming into this and they're not taking it for what it is, which is a moment in AI creativity. We'll get more into that, but I think that I push back a lot on this kind of negativity around AI creativity because, you know, what is the direction this is going? Let's look at that. Where is this all going to end up, right? I think that's the more interesting question rather than, oh, this is not that great. But anyway, without further ado, let's look at the Coca-Cola AI commercial first, which is pretty interesting. It's only 30 seconds. So we'll just watch this and we shall see. There you go. That was the Coca-Cola AI commercial, which came out 2 weeks ago. In my opinion, technically, in my opinion, not too hard to do. I could probably do this fairly easily. Most of these clips are about 5 seconds or less, which is very achievable with an image to video and then or text to image and then image to video workflow. So like you could basically like create these images in, let's say, Photoshop or Midjourney, and then put them into something like Runway or Hailuo or what have you, and you could generate all these images. It's not technically hard to do. It could be taught. And of course, there's the storytelling aspect of like, how did they craft this commercial together in a way that spoke to Coca-Cola's brand, etc. I mean, a lot of people I've seen on the internet and in person are saying, oh, like, this is just slop, you know, this is just, you know, what Coca-Cola, like, it's not even that original, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, look, like, these are all the Coca-Cola notes. I get it. It's like an experimental thing that Coca-Cola is playing with AI for the first time, or maybe second time, technically. But like, I don't blame them for trying to do this. And what I would highly anticipate is that Coca-Cola is going to start to do this across lots of markets, right? Coca-Cola has tons of demographics and countries that people are drinking its material in, or its drinks in. And, you know, what does this look like when Coca-Cola, which already does hyper-specific commercials, right? They do really, really specific commercials for specific demographics. Like I lived in Vietnam and Singapore, and I saw Coca-Cola commercials for specifically Vietnamese people in the countryside. And like those were resonant for that group because probably they hired an agency that was based in Vietnam and they could like do some kind of ad that was applicable to them. And then you have this scenario where, hey, look, like, they can do this at scale faster. They can do more customized, more local kind of stuff. And I think that's where we're headed. And in theory, you could be more creative, right? I think as a first try, I don't blame Coca-Cola for doing something that's a little bit more generic because that's, you know, it's risky already just doing an AI commercial. Like already it's a conversation topic. But can you do that sample first and then see what happens once you've done this and do more fantastical stuff, etc. I mean, if we remember, Coca-Cola did this like masterpiece commercial last year, which used AI heavily. But let's check this out. Like this is clearly AI, but they're using also other VFX techniques, right? anyway, you get the idea. I'm not gonna play the whole thing. We'll just let it sit there. But like, you can see that this is like really nice VFX. There's probably some AI in the mix here where they're doing some style transfer, etc. They even did a little BTS on this one, so you could kind of see their process. So Coca-Cola at the top of its game, showing off how their process was, like what techniques are they using, what kind of things are they using, what kind of technologies they're using, clustering, blah blah blah. Like these are all very traditional VFX techniques mixed with some AI stuff. So like Coca-Cola is not scared of or afraid to or use like a lot higher production value to execute something. So it's kind of ridiculous for people to say, hey, look, Coca-Cola is doing kind of banal stuff with this other ad. It's just like, hey, they got to start somewhere with AI commercials. And, doing something like this is, hey, this is a first step. Now let's look at Vodafone, which dropped yesterday. Oh, wait, before we get to Vodafone, I will say, like, it's interesting that this is achievable today with newer techniques. In fact, you could probably redo this commercial with newer tools and get better results right now. But that's why these things are kind of time capsules of, the moment in time when AI could only do so much or do this much. So Vodafone, I think, they also did a little bit more risk, which they put humans in the mix here. So let's check out what Vodafone did. It's a lot of humans, and humans are hard to render with AI, but we'll see quickly that it's a very impressive, what it can do now, and it's probably created more recently using more recent tools. So let's take a look. Anyway, you get the idea. I don't want to play the whole song, but essentially, Coca-Cola has hired somebody. It looks like Lipstick Berlin in this case, and I think a few other creators to work on this. A lot of the renders here are, if not, in fact, all of the renders are all AI. I mean, if you go back here and look at this man who's standing here with the baby, like the nose is kind of funny. The baby has a kind of lurchy back. The hand is clearly kind of morphed there, but the cut is so fast that you wouldn't see it. So it's like up to a trained eye would be able to see this and look at it. Like, look at this boy here. Like, even the way that his neck is and all that, like, that's kind of obviously AI, to me at least. But maybe because I go in this knowing that it's AI, so there's that bias. But like, a lot of this, you can kind of tell. Like, even the jerky movement of this boy coming out of the water is just a boy just wouldn't come out of the water like that, right? But I think most of these other shots are all AI. Even that girl who's like nodding, like I could achieve that, right? Using, let's say, a Midjourney 2 runway or Midjourney 2 Hydroid AI workflow, or even just straight prompting text to video. That's where these models are today. And using some level of upscaling, you can get to a nice 4K or 1080p that we're seeing right here. So pretty interesting from that perspective when we're looking at, the technique here that, hey, look, like, it's not surprising that, oh, by the way, like, isn't that weird right there and right there? Like, what happened to her head? But anyway, like, it's still, like, fairly impressive to me that they can pull this off and put this into a commercial. And I think the commercials is not bad. And it's a little incohesive in some ways from a storytelling perspective, but I think, technique-wise, it's very impressive, and it showcases, yet again, another time capsule of where AI tools are for AI commercials. So I think, where do we see this going? I mean, I find it a little bit annoying, to be honest, that, like, we've got all these hot takes every other day on LinkedIn. I see somebody who's going, hey, this is really bad that AI is being used for commercials because it's showing how drab and banal and we need humans in the loop. And hey, look, guess what? Like, humans made this stuff, right? Like, it's a time capsule, and it shows not only, like I said earlier, like, Coca-Cola is experimenting. And this is a first. Gotta drink out of my stein again. And yes, my stein is bigger than my head, but you gotta drink a lot of water. But yeah, like I think Coca-Cola is clearly experimenting here. Coca-Cola also clearly has the chops or agencies that it can hire to do really complex, really creative stuff. But hey, we already knew that just this little line here was going to be an issue. It was going to go in the news. It was going to go on social media. People were going to talk about it, and then on people on LinkedIn are going to be like, "Oh, like this is not appropriate." Blah blah blah. Like, "Oh, I just don't think that it's right that people are using AI." Blah blah blah. But the reality is that this is a very sophisticated brand that's experimenting with AI for the second or third or dozenth time and putting it out there. And we're gonna possibly get to a point where this is just gonna be normal, right? Where we're gonna see commercials and not even know with their AI, or it's gonna be a mix, right? Like if we look at what Shy Kids did, right? Shy Kids with Airhead, they did this one, which is probably mostly AI in this video here, right? And then in their second video, they did Deflated, which is kind of a sequel. Whereas here, they're doing a lot of sequence of shots where, you know, this woman, who is a real filmed woman, is she's an actress and a producer at Shy Kids, and she's just interviewing them here, interviewing the airhead here. And so, like, what are they doing? They're mixing her and this AI generated image here or video here to generate this whole video, right? Like they're mixing VFX with her right here. And they even, I think they did a video, a making of right here, Deflated behind the scenes. So like they mixed, see, they are filming here. The team is filming. They filmed her in a green screen. And then like they also did things like mixing. Let's see here. Yeah, see, they did the Sora generation here. They're using Sora, OpenAI Sora. They stabilized it. Then they rotoscoped it, right? Live action footage, etc. I think that this in particular, and this came out, let's say, about 6 months ago, and this is very impressive, right? This came out about 6 months ago and is to me a showcase of where this is going to end up, right? Where you have the scenario where Vodafone here and Coca-Cola are using mostly AI, and maybe it's a test, right? These brands are testing reception, testing how the market is receiving this, how certain demographics are going to receive this when they put this out onto commercials, how well is it received, and they can track that live, right? And as well as what we're going to see is, you know, more complex, you know, Soras with roto, composite, VFX, you know, GFX, all that coming together to create these AI commercials. So I think within a very, very short period of time, we're going to see that happen very rapidly. And I think that's pretty cool, right? I think it's cool because we're probably going to see more localization, more customization, more people being able to do it for more demographics, which might not have been, you know, as seen in some ways because the budgets are so much. If a brand can only spend, let's say, $100,000 or even less, $50,000 or more, $500,000 on, or $2-3 million on a Super Bowl ad, those big budget ones are, you know, being showed to millions, billions of people potentially, right? And it makes sense, right? They have to create mainstream stuff for these big commercials. But what about those people who, let's say, are in a village in Vietnam and they have very specific needs to their village or whatever, and you have a brand coming in and be able to spend a lot less on getting a commercial to them to advertise their product? Like, I think that's kind of interesting here. And we're probably going to see that also with, you know, even like click-through ads and mobile ads, like mobile ads that you get on your phone, gaming phone. Like I'm already starting to see like AI ads on my phone, right? So like, what does this look like when it all gets better? It all gets faster. These competencies get more ubiquitous. Like right now, I would say the number of people who can do what we're seeing with Shy Kids here and the Coca-Cola commercial, etc. It's a small subset of people, maybe in the tens of thousands, maybe in the hundreds of thousands, right? Maybe that, but we're about to see that explode because the tools are going to get faster, better, more ubiquitous, and easier to use over time. It's just so competitive. And there's this narrative, I think, in especially Hollywood, where like oh, AI is going to replace us, which might happen, frankly, and it's sad, and it's something that we definitely have to grapple with as industry people, as well as technologists, as well as just laborers in the market, or but at the same time, I think we are faced with an opportunity here where we might see a lot more creative work being done by more people. It might be cheaper to do, but there might also be more work for more people because there's going to be more opportunities. That's a point that I keep harping on here. So it applies to AI commercials, right? Like, what happens when more agencies can do more complex AI commercials that they couldn't have done before? I mean, you look at the set that they had to build on this Coca-Cola masterpiece commercial, right? And it's like, it's just crazy. They built a whole set, right? If you can see about here, like here, like they built a whole set in like an amphitheater, right? This is probably a multi-million-dollar budget, right? But like, it's going to be within a short time that somebody can do this too, not just Coca-Cola. And to me, that's what makes me optimistic about this in particular. Like, yes, probably the budgets for this kind of stuff are going to go up, not down, because you can do even more complex stuff. But at the same time, doing something at this level within a year or two is going to be much easier for someone with lower budget. And therefore, what does that mean? That means that not just Coca-Cola gets to do this kind of commercial. I think that's what I'm optimistic about. Not just Christopher Nolan gets to have a high budget film with all these sci-fi effects, right? More people get to tell their stories. More people get to do ads. More demographics get served. And so I think this is where my brain is trying to, skate to where the puck is going, right? So hopefully that's inspires some thought for you guys about where AI commercials are going. I'm very curious where you guys think. I mean, obviously I'm very biased. I think about these commercials in a particular way. I think about AI in a particular way. But I do wonder, what happens when more is possible for less, not how it's destroying value and creativity, but how it's creating more. So very curious what your thoughts are. And especially if you disagree with me, please leave some comments. I will respond with the videos. So thanks a lot, everybody. And talk to you out there real soon. Like and comment and subscribe, please. Share it with your friends. I'm just starting out, so I'd love any support that you can have. So thanks a lot. Talk soon.